Okay, dear students, let's take a quick recap of what we have studied in the last class. We started with entropy and we proved that it is a property of the system, followed by a small derivation where it depends on the end states and not on the path selected, and hence it is a property of the system. And then we applied this entropy to a pure substance as usual by introducing one more property to the family of other properties, and we took one small example of how to calculate entropy change of a pure substance in a tank. Okay, for R134A, how to identify phase 1 for the given properties, phase 2 for the given properties, and then apply the equations and finally find the change in entropy. Fine. So this was the discussion that we had in the last class. Now, in today's discussion, we'll take up how this entropy change in a reversible process is. So when we call a process reversible, let's understand what is meant by a reversible process. Though you have studied reversible and irreversible processes, the second law of thermodynamics, let's understand quickly what is a reversible process. Say for example, on any given property diagram, whether it is PV or TV diagram, if a process takes place from state point 1 to state point 2, whether it's an expansion process or compression process, let it be arbitrary. So if I give the direction that the process is taking place from 1 to 2, the process is called reversible if it comes back from 2 to 1 via the same route without leaving any footprints. So only the direction is changed, magnitude will remain same. That process is called as a reversible process. So today, in the beginning, we are going to take this reversible process and let's see how entropy change can occur in a reversible process. So having established that entropy is a thermodynamic property of a system in the last class, let us consider its significance in various processes. So let's expand this to various processes. So in this section, we will limit ourselves to systems that undergo reversible processes. So the best example here would be to take Carnot cycle, which consists of 4 reversible processes, okay, such as, so let me demonstrate this with the processes on a given TS diagram. So yesterday we have introduced TS diagram. So how this process looks like on a TS diagram. So let me draw first. So here Carnot cycle consists of 4 different processes and all are reversible processes. For example, process 1 to 2 is called reversible isothermal process. That means heat is added to the system at TH at constant temperature to the system under consideration. So this is the system under consideration. Heat is added at constant temperature. So this is called as reversible isothermal. If you want to be specific, heat addition. Process. Reversible isothermal heat addition process. Then the second process is from 2 to 3, which is called as reversible adiabatic expansion. Now since this is taking place at constant entropy, okay, if I mark it over here, the value of S2 is equal to S3. This should be noted because for reversible processes always entropy change is 0. This is what the Clausius inequality also proves it, and we have already defined that for the value of ds, change in entropy is equal to 0 for an adiabatic, reversible adiabatic expansion. So this is also known as isentropic process, popularly called as isentropic. Isen means same, entropy is same, isentropic, just like isenthalpic, how we have dealt with isenthalpic process, constant enthalpy process, that is throttling. So similarly over here it is called as isentropic process, constant entropy process. Coming to process 3 to 4, where it is again considered as reversible isothermal heat rejection process. Okay, so here heat is rejected at QL to the lowest temperature TL. Clear? And thus completing the cycle, we have process 4 to 1, which is again called reversible adiabatic compression now to reach back to initial state 1. Now again, if you observe, notice here that this line is straight, and if I extend it to cut the x-axis or on entropy, I will be having S4 is equal to S1. So again we will be using the same concept, that delta S or change in entropy for a reversible process is 0, and hence this is also called as isentropic process. Okay. So these are the major processes that a Carnot cycle have. Now let's see. So this is what I have noted down here. Now this particular TS diagram is very informative in the sense it can give us information of how much is the amount of heat added. So to know that heat added, let's write that heat addition in the form of a graph is equal to area. So how to understand that? Heat supplied, okay, or heat added is 1, 2, say we need one more point here, so let it be B, and one more point here, let it be A. Okay. So it is 1, 2, B, A, 1. So this is the area which represents the amount of heat addition at constant temperature. So I will be writing here as 1, 2, B, A, back to 1. Now second point is heat rejection. So heat is rejected here at QL. So how it is represented? So heat rejection is represented by the area below the graph. That means this area. So let me plot it with opposite slant lines. Okay. So I'll be starting with 3. So it is 3 3BA4. Is 3BA4 back to 3. So this area below the graph represents the amount of heat rejected. Now the difference between this, the difference between heat addition and heat rejection will give us the amount of work output. So again that area is written as the work output is nothing but area, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4 and back to 1 to complete the cycle. So these are the areas which represent different heat and work interactions. Okay. So if I apply the entropy change for the first process, that is reversible isothermal heat addition, I will be getting the equation as S2 minus S1 is equal to 1 upon Th by integral 1 to 2 delta Q, which is nothing but Q1 to 2 by Th. So here I will be writing the expression just immediately below the process. Okay. So if I apply entropy change, which is the required parameter over here, so between 1 to 2, so this is my initial state and this is my final state. So the value of delta S is equal to S2 final minus initial is equal to, initially we have to take it as integral delta Q by T. So let me take this as integral delta Q upon T from state point 1 to state point 2. What need to be observed here is, from this expression, temperature T is constant, so it is not changing throughout till the heat addition process gets over. So I will be taking this T outside and I know what is the quantity, which is H. H stands for temperature highest temperature in the cycle. So based on that it is named as Th. So 1 by Th is taken out, integral 1 to 2 delta Q. So integral 1 to 2 delta Q is written as Q1 to 2 upon Th. So that is the expression that we can expect. That is the entropy change for reversible isothermal heat addition process. That's what is written over here. Next one is for reversible adiabatic expansion, which is called as isentropic process. So as rightly mentioned here, the simple expression that I'd be using here is either delta S or it is ds is equal to, it is initial point minus final point. So it is S3 minus S2 is equal to 0 because I have S2 is equal to S3. So if I substitute here, I'll be getting the change in entropy as 0. So that's the reason why I have written on the top as ds is equal to 0 from, even we got it from the earlier classes that for reversible processes or cycles the change in entropy is 0. Now moving on to the next one, that is process 3 to 4, which is reversible isothermal heat rejection process. So applying the equation, we will be getting delta S is equal to, now this is my initial point and this is the final point. So here it is S4 minus S3 is equal to, it is integral, it's moving from 3 to 4 delta Q upon T. So again the point to be noted down here is that this heat rejection is taking place at constant temperature, but this is the lowest temperature in the cycle, hence it is labeled as TL. So I'll be taking this here constant TL outside and integration from 3 to 4 delta Q, or it is heat transfer between 3 to 4 divided by TL, okay, which is meant for reversible isothermal heat rejection. Similarly, we can write the equation for the last process to complete the cycle, that is 4 to 1, which is again reversible adiabatic compression or popularly called as isentropic process. So delta S is equal to, or ds is equal to final minus initial, so it is S1 minus S4 is equal to 0 because S4 is equal to S1. Okay? So that completes the analysis for the change in entropy in a reversible case. So this is for the third process and for the fourth process. Okay, so this is the analysis. Let's apply it for the reversible world. What exactly we mean by reversible world? Meaning here, if all the directions are reversed in this present TS diagram, what we are going to get out of it? So presently this particular diagram of TS represents a heat engine. As you can see here, the amount of heat added, if I represent a T, thermal energy reservoir, so I am taking QH amount of heat to a particular device, so that device is this heat engine, and I reject QL amount of heat to a low temperature reservoir. So this is my high temperature reservoir to be precisely, which is maintained at TH, to low temperature reservoir which is maintained at TL while developing known amount of work, that is W out. So obviously this is an example of reversible heat engine. So when this is reversible, and if I reverse all the directions, like say from 1 to 2 is moving, so I just change the directions, all the directions I change it. So it is moving from 2 to 1, 4, 3, back to 1. That means here also I will be changing the directions. So if I change the directions, direction, so it is taking heat of QL quantity from low temperature reservoir, and it is rejecting QH amount of heat to high temperature reservoir, but by absorbing certain amount of work input. Okay, it is out, now it is in. So this is going to represent what? A refrigerator or heat pump. Now the two having the same diagram, but they differ in their objectives. Okay, so either it can work as a refrigerator or heat pump. So that is the beauty of understanding this reversible process. So that becomes the TS diagram for a refrigerator or heat pump. Let's take an example and we'll solve and quantify using the property tables. Okay, so let me read the statement. Now the example is for isentropic expansion of steam in a turbine. The example is based on isentropic expansion of steam in a turbine. So here I have taken isentropic, that is reversible adiabatic process, an expansion against compression of a given pure substance, okay, and the device is turbine. So let me read the statement. The statement is that steam enters an adiabatic turbine at 5 megapascal and 450 degrees Celsius and leaves at a pressure of 1.4 megapascal. Determine the work output of the turbine per unit mass of steam if the process is reversible. Okay? The process is reversible. So for the given statement, let me write what are all are considered. Okay, so the data, can take down what is the data given. It is given for steam, okay, an adiabatic turbine, one of the important term to be noted down. It enters at 5 megapascal, so obviously this is going to be my state 1. At state 1, what I have is pressure P1 is equal to 5 megapascal. and 450 degrees Celsius. So this is T1, 450 degrees Celsius, and leaves at a pressure of 1.4 megapascal. So this is my state 2. At state 2, the pressure P2 is 1.4 megapascal. No information about other things like mass, flow rate, beat or temperature. Finally, what we have to do is we have to determine the work output of the turbine per unit mass of steam. So work output to find is what? Is work output, okay, per unit mass flow rate. So this is nothing but what? It is nothing but small w, specific work. This we already studied in while dealing with SFE for the turbine. If the process is reversible, so I have already written there, isentropic expansion of steam, so it is a reversible expansion process. The arrangement sketch goes like this. So need to draw the sketch once again. So here I will be drawing the sketch that we have a turbine, a steam turbine. How much is the work out? So this is what is asked. So steam enters here at state 1 and leaves at state 2. So both the state 1 and state 2 properties are mentioned here. So this is the steam turbine. Okay. So the solution, how to begin with a solution. First of all, from the statement we can able to write, the first and foremost thing is that the amount of work out, what is the equation? So using first law, how best we can develop the equation of this first law. So let's start with writing the first law equation to get the expression for workout. We know that from first law applied to open system, first law applied to open system, what is that? Let me write that big expression, then we can condense it. So it is Q dot for CV plus M dot. Now I'll take it as H1 instead of HI. I stands for inlet, E stands for exit in the expression what we have derived. Now here I'll be changing it from state 1 to state 2. So H1, okay, instead of HI plus half V1 square plus Z1. Okay. So this is at the inlet to the turbine is equal to, this is equal to M dot H2 plus half V2 square plus Z2 plus it is work out. Okay. It is work out. Now we need to clearly analyze the statement, and only we need to keep the required parameters and cancel out other parameters. So here it is adiabatic turbine. So meaning of adiabatic, there is no heat transfer from the turbine. So obviously this term get cancelled. Q dot. M dot is there because he has asked to calculate the change in entropy per kg. So mass is there, obviously mass flow rate. H1 steam at a given pressure, so having certain enthalpy. There is no information about kinetic energy and potential energy both at the inlet and at the exit, and hence we can neglect or is equal to 0 and make these two terms 0 from the equation. Is equal to mass flow rate is there, H2 is again there, has certain pressure, so enthalpy is there. There is no information kinetic energy, potential energy are neglected. So final equation what we have is m dot h1 only in the term is equal to, here also m dot h2 only in the term plus work flow rate. Ultimately what he has asked is work flow rate. So writing the expression for work flow rate, W dot out is equal to, transfer this term over here. So it is mass flow rate H1 minus H2. Okay. So this is the final expression. So now we are clear as to what are all the properties that we require from property tables to find the amount of work. So still simplifying this, since we don't know the mass flow rate and as you asked it for per kg, I transfer this term over here. So it becomes work out divided by mass flow rate, which is nothing but the specific work. Okay, work per kg is specific work. So W out, and here it's only H1 minus H2. So if we calculate H1 and H2 at state 1 and state 2, okay, we are done with the solution. So let's take down what are the expressions that are required here. So this is what we have already proved, and since mass flow rate at the inlet is equal to mass flow rate at the exit, okay, steady flow energy equation, then we have these parameters. So let's find out the required properties, that is H1, how to find H1 and H2. So for the given state 1, how to get the value of H1? We don't know yet what are the phases. So before we proceed, we must know the phases at inlet and exit. Okay, so let's test it with the steam properties. First we need to go to pressure table. For a pressure of 5 megapascal, refer to 5 megapascal. Yes, the corresponding temperature is 263.99. okay, for a pressure (5 megapascal), the corresponding saturation temperature from the property tables is 263.99 degrees Celsius. But what is given? The given temperature is T1, which is 450 degrees Celsius. Therefore, comparing the temperatures, we can write T1 is greater than Tsat. This condition implies that the phase of steam is superheated. Okay, the phase of steam, it is superheated. Clear? So now we have to jump to the superheated table. Now superheated values, again pressure 5 megapascal, so directly go to 5 megapascal. Okay, for 5 megapascal and for a temperature of 450 degrees Celsius, we have a direct values, so no need to go for interpolation. And what we want enthalpy. Okay, so enthalpy is 331617.2. So at this point I will be writing enthalpy at a pressure of P1 and T1 is, it's written there, 3316.2 kilojoule per kg. So we are done with the first part, that is enthalpy. So let's immediately calculate how to get H2. Now here the question is to find the value of H2, since H1 is known. To find the value of H2, we require two properties at state 2, but we have only one, that is pressure, which is 1.4 megapascal. But since in the statement it is given that it is for a reversible adiabatic expansion, so the meaning of this reversible adiabatic expansion is nothing but it is isentropic process. So this we need to understand. Okay, it is given as reversible adiabatic expansion, which is nothing but isentropic process. Isentropic means the entropy remains constant. That means whatever is the entropy at state point 1, the same entropy will be there at state point 2. So our job is to now add P2 and one more property, two property rule, then only we can find the other properties. What we require is S2, which is equal to S1. So again, our job is to find S1 at the same properties at state 1, that is P1 equal to 5 megapascal and temperature is equal to 450 degrees Celsius. So in the same table, for 5 megapascal and 450 degrees Celsius, the value of S is 6.8186. It's 6.8186, unit being kilojoule per kg Kelvin. So this is the value of enthalpy at state point 1. Now we have a combination of two properties again, P2 1.4 and we have enthalpy S1. So at this point we can find the value of H1, provided we know what is the phase at the exit of the turbine. So again we need to check in which phase it exists. How? Go to pressure table, that is 1.4 megapascal. Since we have two properties, we can verify. So going to the pressure table of 1.4 megapascal, that's page number 12, 1.4 megapascal, and finding the value of SF and SG. Okay, we need to cross verify that where exactly the entropy. Okay, so here if I write it on TS diagram and draw the graph for a pressure line, since it exists somewhere here, so what is the entropy value? So for a given pressure of 1.4, I need to first find out the corresponding SF and SG, and those values are to be compared with S1, which is obtained just now. So SF and SG means 11th and 13th column for 1.4. So for 11th column it is 2.28. So this is the value of SF. I'll be marking over here. SF is 2.28. Unit is kilojoule per kg Kelvin. I'm dropping that here. And SG here. So this is the value of SG, which is equal to 6.46. 6.46 kilojoule per kg. Now we can compare the value of SF and SG to this, and very well we can say that the value of S1, which is equal to S2, is greater than SG. I surpassed the value of SG. That means still remains in the superheated phase only. So comparing this, we can say that phase at state 2 is still superheated. Clear? So once we are clear with that, now we can draw the corresponding TS diagram for the two pressure values that we have. So obviously this point is for a pressure value of say 1.4 megapascal, and earlier was for say 5 megapascal. So since it is an isentropic process, a straight line. So this is state 1, it is expanding to state 2, and we have S1 is equal to S2, which is greater than SG. Okay, so this becomes the property diagram for the given numerical. Now, how to find the value of S2? So since again it is in the superheated region, we have to go to superheated tables for 1.4 megapascal now. Okay, not for 5 megapascal, 1.4 megapascal, and then for pressure of 1.4 megapascal, the reference is entropy. What is entropy range? Entropy range should be 6.8186. So if you refer for pressure of 1.4 megapascal, that is page number 15, we have two values in which the given entropy value falls in. So we need to go for interpolation. The nearest lower value is 6.7467 and the nearest higher value is 7.9534. So the value of S2, which is 6.8186, lies between the values of 6.7467 and 7.9534. So this is the required value. For this we need to find the corresponding enthalpy. So we need interpolation. Okay. Through interpolation we can get the corresponding values. So obviously in the table we have one value of enthalpy for this, another value of enthalpy for this, which is to be calculated, and this is our H2. Okay, and we have one more enthalpy over here. So this is known, this is known, this is to be calculated by knowing these values. So after interpolation the value of H2 is equal to, okay, it is 2967.4 2967.4 kilojoule per kg, okay, which lies between these values. So for easy reference I can give you the enthalpy values also. The enthalpy values on the nearest lower is 2927.2 and nearest higher is 3040.4. So our value must lie between this. So it is 2967, higher than this and lower than this. Hence this value of H2 is accepted. So this is how we can find the value of H2. Our next step is to substitute in the equation to get the value of work output. Therefore, whatever equation that we have defined, that is specific work out, or sometimes you can write it as work from 1 to 2 also, as this is a path function. Now it is H1 minus H2. So the value of H1 is 3317.2 minus H2 2967.4, okay, unit being kilojoule per kg, and finally the answer obtained is 349.8 kilojoule of work is obtained per kg of steam that is circulated in the turbine. So this is the solution, final solution. Meantime, practice the interpolation. As I keep on telling this even in the classes, that interpolation is very much required here. That will save a lot of time if you are acquainted with how to handle the interpolation values. Every time we are required to go through that interpolation. Okay, one process we have seen, an isentropic process, whether it is expansion or the next process is constant pressure process. So let's see how the entropy change can be calculated for a constant pressure process where, let's say, heat is transferred. So I'll be taking the next process, which is constant pressure heat transfer process. So the statement is, I'll just read the statement. Consider the change of state from saturated liquid to saturated vapor at constant pressure of 10 megapascal. Determine the entropy change during this process. It's very simple. expression or the process that we need to calculate here. Now, the phase diagram, the property diagram is simple. So it's a constant pressure process. So let's take it on. Okay, a constant pressure, that is TS diagram, so that we can represent the constant pressure process. TS, the saturation dome is mentioned, and on the TS diagram. So this is the constant pressure process. So here what he has asked is, consider the change of state from saturated liquid. So this is the saturated liquid part, from say 1 to saturated vapor part. So from here to here, what is the change in entropy? So if I drop over here, okay, so this is going to be my SF, and this is going to be SG. What is asked is, the change in entropy is nothing but SG minus SF is equal to SFG. Very simple but very informative at the same time. Let's see how we can deal with this process. Solution. Go for the solution. Well, the change in entropy from S2 minus S1 in the standard form, if I write here also, I will be writing here from the beginning, it is S2 minus S1 will give the change in entropy. So here I will be writing the equation here as S2 minus S1, the change in entropy is equal to, I have written some equations here, though the final expression leads to SFG, so I will be writing here as SFG. In other mode also we can evaluate it. So now here I am clubbing, or rather developing an equation which can have many terms, just like what I have shown over here. Okay, it is mentioned as 1 upon m. Okay, let's develop the equation. Integral from 1 to 2 delta q by t. Okay, this is again for a reversible case, since we are dealing with a reversible case, so I will be writing here for the reversible case, is equal to what, 1 upon mt. Okay, 1 upon mt integral from 1 to 2 delta q, and hence further it is equal to, here it is integral from delta q, so I will be writing here as 1 upon mt, and this integral is nothing but from 1 to 2, q1 to 2. So q1 to 2 divided by m. Now I will be getting specific heat, so I will be writing here as q1 to 2 divided by t. Now this q1 to 2 is what? Is equal to h of g. How? This we need to develop. Now this is the catch here. Okay, though the equations are pretty simple, but I am now equating heat transfer from 1 to 2 is equal to the enthalpy change between saturated vapor and saturated liquid. So for this, let me again go back to the expression that we studied, that is the first law, okay, where I just recall one example so that you can note down there. Okay, in a closed cylinder, okay, heat transfer process, along with that we need to calculate work transfer process, which was solved. So there we have developed this equation. So let me take up this expression and let me equate that to h of g. We know that from first law q1 to 2 is equal to, it is u2 minus u1. So here I will be developing the equation, and that I am going to compare it with, is equal to u2 minus u1, which is nothing but e2 minus e1. Since potential and kinetic energies are neglected from the analysis, so it is only change in the internal energy plus work from 1 to 2. So since it is constant pressure process, we need to write all the expressions for constant pressure process. So what is the constant pressure process here? So change in internal energies I will be writing on the mass basis, or rather on specific property basis. So it is going to be m u2 minus u1, small u2 minus small u1, plus what is the expression for constant pressure work done. So I will be writing here separately. Work done equation for constant pressure process is P V2 minus V1. Okay, so that I will be writing here with the exception that I'll be writing P2 V2 minus P1 V1, and we can claim here that P2 is equal to P1, constant pressure process. So we are maintaining that equation, and I'll be taking this expression here, P2 V2 minus P1 V1. So like how I have written the internal energy on specific property basis, let me write this also on specific property basis. So if I introduce here, it becomes M P2 V2 minus P1 V1, right? The capital V2 and capital V1 are written in terms of their specific volumes. So M V2, M V1 is nothing but V2 V1. So that M I have taken it out. So that now you can write what is the expression for U2 P2 V2. So it's a combination property, and we have defined this combination property as enthalpy. Okay, now here it is specific enthalpy. So directly I'll be taking here as M, it is H2 minus, okay, if I write it is M U1 P1 V1. So it is again same enthalpy, but at initial state it becomes H1. So taking M common, it becomes H2 minus H1. Now I'll take this expression here, Q1 to 2 is equal to M, and I'll transfer this M over here. So it is Q1 to 2 upon M is equal to H2 minus H1. Q1 to 2 upon M is nothing but specific heat. So this gives rise to Q1 to 2 is equal to H2 minus H1. Now let's apply this to the present case. What is H2 here? H2 is the state of saturated vapor, and hence the enthalpy corresponding to that is written as Hg, just like Sg, what we have written on the entropy coordinate. Similarly, H1 is nothing but at state point 1, so it is saturated liquid. So the corresponding enthalpy is called as enthalpy of saturated liquid, which is called as HF. So now what is the difference? Hg minus HF is nothing but, the notation is HFG. The same thing is taken over here. So Q1 to 2 is equal to HFG, is equal to HFG. So Q1 to 2 HFG divided by temperature. So I'll be getting this S2 minus S1, which is SFG as the enthalpy. So if you know for a constant pressure process what is the value of HFG for a given temperature, you can very well calculate the change in entropy for the same constant pressure process. No doubt we can evaluate this SFG directly from the property tables. Okay, since the value is given here, that vapor at constant pressure of 10 megapascal. So if you go to directly pressure table, okay, for 10 megapascal, we'll get the value of SFG, that is 12th column on page number 12. On page number 12, the value of SFG is 2.2544. Okay, 2.2544. It is the same whether we use by this expression or directly we can enter into. But this expression helps us in developing the relations between entropy and enthalpy for a constant pressure process if the temperature is mentioned. So similarly, the question is here, if I can get the value directly from the property tables, which is equal to 2.2544 kilojoule per kg Kelvin. Now how to get this value? Whether from this expression also I'll be getting the same SFG. Okay, so let's find out the HFG at the same pressure. HFG, that is column number 9, same page number 12, for 10 megapascal. The value is 1317.1. So here it is 1317.1. What is the temperature? Now remember here, in the entropy analysis, we always consider temperature as absolute value. So whatever temperature we are going to write is or has to be in Kelvin. Okay, so what is the temperature? There is no temperature given, but obviously from the diagram we can say that this phase change process always takes place at a constant temperature. So in a pure substance, this we have analyzed. Okay, so the phase change is taking place always as constant temperature. So if I take this line, so this is nothing but the saturation temperature at a pressure that is given. So here also for a pressure of 10 megapascal, okay, the same table, that is page number 12, for a pressure of 10 megapascal, the corresponding temperature is 311. Okay, so this Tsat is 311.06 degree Celsius. The only thing is here we need to convert that into Kelvin basis. Okay, so right here, so it is 311.06 plus 273. So if we calculate this value, we are going to get it as 2.2544. 2.2544 kilojoule per kg Kelvin, which is same as this value. So here both the values are same. So whether we use it directly from the property tables or by going through this particular route and then getting the value. Now the question is how this expression S2 minus S1 leads to 1 upon m delta Q by T. Okay, let me quickly elaborate on that expression. Okay, how we have written this particular expression, the change in enthalpy. If I take capital S, so I will be writing here as capital S2 minus capital S1, and on unit kg basis this will be m S2 minus S1. Okay, this will be S2 minus S1, and this is nothing but integral delta Q upon T from say process 1 to 2. Same thing. So now if I write it as S2 minus S1 is going to be 1 upon m integral from 1 to 2 delta Q upon T. Develop this expression 1 upon m. Now T for the given process where you are going a change from state saturated liquid to saturated vapor is constant temperature. So this comes out Tc, if I write constant temperature integral from 1 to 2 delta Q. So it is 1 by m T, 1 by m T. So delta Q can be written as heat transfer from 1 to 2. So this heat transfer Q1 to 2 upon m, just like here Q1 to 2 upon m can be written as specific heat. So it is written as specific heat from 1 to 2 upon temperature. So now you know how I have replaced Q1 to 2 by the corresponding H of G, and we have calculated the value. So there are two methods through which you can calculate the change in entropy. Okay. The remaining part, that is one more process, that is constant temperature process, will take up in the next class.